Welcome back to Alice Madness Returns, the extras. So during the main game, we collected 96% of the collectibles.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And so we're just going to go through and collect the few bits and pieces we've got left. We're going to swap outfits as we go to show them off. I think I start off with the wrong dress.
Always a good idea.
The first dress was one we had in-game. But I'm also going to look at the weapons. So we're going to use the Vorpal Cleaver, which reduces damage from enemies by half.
The Octal Grinder, which increases the ammo limit.
The Nightmare, which restores health after each hit.
And of course, the Catnip Cannon, which increases damage to enemies by half. So 1.5 times damage there.
So first up, Hatter's Domain.
Wearing the outfit which actually goes with this level, of course. That was intentional.
Yeah, this one was accidental. And I think this is just right. Did we even have the shrink sense here? We must have.
Oh yeah, you get that at the first level.
And we just missed this very early one.
Well, we say we.
I know you hear me, you contrary child. Use the bedpan and let go of that wretched rabbit.
So that was just one of the Priss memories there.
Yeah, this is already to the deluded depths. It's just a bottle.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to let it bug her.
Yes, we're in the caterpillar dress. Shrink sense is always active, which is why you can see pictures in the background, and I'm also showing off
Super useful.
the Catnip Cannon because it shows the cat's face when you fire the Catnip
Yeah.
Cannon. I thought it was a very cool effect. This level was really good for showing it off because it was very blue and bright and contrasty.
Orange on teal. Hey, game developers, you should get on that colour combination for boxes.
This was the big area where the levels split and we had to pick a left or a right, and we pick left in the main LP, and you can't really get back, or if you could, we didn't really go back and investigate. So there's like 3 separate things all on this path because it was just an alternate path.
The permanent shrink sense, really helpful for finding things, by the way.
Oh yeah. Makes it a lot quicker to move around as well because you don't have to keep shrinking and growing and shrinking and growing.
And yet you do anyway, because you have to go through the hole.
Yeah, I was going to say, in this instance, you have to be small enough to fit through this tiny hole. Very, very slowly. This is fine.
And there's a bottle there. Ooh, I didn't realise the caterpillar's wings were like a paper thing that was stuck on. That's really cool.
And then we keep going this way, and there's pig snout as well. This is not just all the stuff we missed this way.
Did we miss this pig snout, or is this just because it lets us get further?
No, we didn't go in this area at all.
At all? Right.
It's an alternative route through the deluded depths.
There's a fish there.
And then, well, for one, I'll go pick up the basket, even though the basket is not the collectible. You actually don't need to get them at all.
That's just teeth.
Yeah. We come up through a horse hole that we couldn't get down in the LP, and we were really confused by it in the LP.
Nay.
Up only, apparently.
Which is crazy, because you hit the ground with it all the time. Hanging out with the jellies. So here we are, still in the deluded depths.
I think this is just one where we were looking for a pig snout, like, somewhere. It's there.
I mean, really, it was just the snout. This just gives us
you don't need it.
physical teeth.
Further along in the deluded depths, is this the Radula? Which I think you said was another Vol thing.
Yes, it's the mouth parts of like mollusks where it sort of comes out and it's jagged, and
Fair
they
enough.
sort of grip and eat
I've never
with
looked
it.
at their mouth parts, so...
Now, is this the one that crashed all the time?
No,
Or was
I
that
think...
later? No, it wasn't this one, because the one that crashed was a questionnaire one. So this is purely one that we must have missed then.
Couldn't remember if there was one where I think I went, I don't think I can be bothered to do this, and just left. Which is a possibility.
And understandable.
You get to see some of the weapons a little. And the Catnip Cannon is actually quite powerful.
Yeah, it looks it.
You die already.
He's like, I want a biscuit to go with the tea. Why does I keep on firing behind it?
That's all.
I like the route-rimmed black of the cleaver attack. It reminds me of Infamous. Because it's what the super evil powers look like.
Very hot tea on tea action.
As the Hatter's crotch looming.
Come, Alice, don't dawdle. You've already missed the train.
Plus you get to see the costume.
It's a really
admittedly.
cute dress.
Yeah.
They all are, really.
Technically this is part of the Oriental Grove chapter, but I thought it was cute to show off Alice in the Cheshire Cat costume with the Cheshire Cat. They even have matching earrings.
World
That does make sense.
look like they've gone.
And the Cheshire Cat outfit means that enemies can't drop roses, so it's sort of harder to play with it.
Calamitous would have been
You
Right.
get to heal.
This unmitigated disaster.
It's hard mode.
Doing, and it will get
But this cutscene is just for fun.
train.
Her eyes are glowing.
Schedule. Get moving. Time waits for no one. The change has begun.
The train is perfectly capable of terrifying me, Cat. You should find another job. Is there really so little hope?
There's even less, and if fear paralyzes you, we are lost.
Right, so we got this pig snout in the main LP. And I think this is the Radula that kept crashing.
But very cool looking.
And yes, it is.
Just like a blood trail down the corner of a mouth or something as well, which is very cool.
Yes, that's what I wanted to talk about. So we did discover why it was crashing. We read online that it's setting PhysX settings from high to low will make it not crash. And I don't think it makes that graphically big a difference. There's still like particles in the air and...
I mean, I couldn't tell the difference.
Alice, riddle me this.
Oh, so we answered the riddle correctly. And this time it won't crash when it enters Alice's eyeball.
Perfect.
No, they glow. Like,
Yeah.
no, but the glow fades and comes back.
There we go. So now in the Oriental Grove proper, this pig snout, we must have stared right at it during the main LP. Because I'm going to turn left, and it's there. It's just really dark.
I still can't see it.
I'll shoot it in a second.
I still can't see it. It's on screen, you see.
Yeah, it's literally on screen right now. So no wonder we didn't get it in the LP.
In fact, is this you recording it going, where is it?
I think I was really trying to show it off, yeah, because that's it right there.
Oh, right, obviously, yeah.
It's just some dark shape. But yes, you hit that pig snout, it lets you get over here.
Hacks, quite frankly.
So
this is cool.
We're now in the Checkmate Dress, which doubles our weapon damage, and this was after a big encounter with lots of mosquito creatures. And all it is you go through the door and turn around, and it was right there.
Oh, that's very call back to the original, because that had lots of stuff where it's like, oh, you've entered a zone, turn around, there's like another dimension pocket locked somewhere down here.
And then now we're all the way at Queensland already. This is the Flesh Maiden Dress, which allows us to hysteria at any time. So, on this, I don't know what you call these.
A ramp?
Ramp game bits. This one, it does matter if you pick left or right. Because down one of them, there is a bottle.
Oh.
So that's what we're going to get. And I think it's the left one.
How arbitrary.
Yeah. I think one of the other ones had a bottle on it as well. We just got the bottle in the LP. Or maybe we got this bottle in the LP and then went the other way, I forget. But yes, you have to know that when you jump off, you want to get up there first rather than down.
Oh, I think we'd have noticed that if we saw it, so that must be somewhere else we went.
Still Queensland. And this is another one where we came in somewhere and went to go right past it, I suppose. And there's another keyhole right at the beginning. Or a place to get into. There we go.
Right, you break through a wall.
Games too require hard choices. Unpleasant sacrifices must often be made to accomplish a desired goal.
Right, and then this area in the LP, I jumped down instead of jumping up, and then you can't come back.
Right.
We were stuck. So we had to just continue without collecting this one. But we knew where it was.
Oh yes, I remember this one, yeah.
It's just a gold bottle again.
Which doesn't seem to have any sort of story component.
And then yeah, in the LP we were down there. But once you're down here, you can't get back up there. And then in one of the big main puzzle rooms where there was lots of weighing one thing to weigh the other thing.
Yeah, that was a particularly awkward part of the game.
Yeah. I think I missed like 3 or 4 things because there's like 3 different rooms that does this. So it's up there. I have to do that again. I'm trying to give them a little bit of context because it's like, I don't know, maybe people want to know where they are.
Balance is the golden mean of all things, Alice. Between light and dark, between disease and health, or even between wrong and right.
This dickhead.
This is another one where I think because after being annoyed by him and running away, we miss a keyhole right here.
Yeah. Oh look, a thing you can break down through.
There's a memory.
Born in the wrong century I was, Alice. Picture me, Madame Dufarge, knitting away as deserving heads roll from the guillotine. Ah, those were good days.
In this really weird room.
Yes, this is the final resting place, of course, of the crazy frog.
And then just down the corridor from that same keyhole, which is why I was showing it off, there's another wall we can break. So we missed quite a few of them in quick succession, just by being annoyed at the executioner.
Infinite enemies, who likes those? But you do get to kill them in the end, which is good.
You do, yes. So this is another one where we go forward to do this puzzle, but actually you have to not go forward, you have to go back.
Ah.
And it was hiding above where you came in.
How original.
Just a bottle. And then I think later on in this very same room, there's an area that I just looked at over there to our left that we want to get to, but we can't get there yet. Because what we've got to do is solve the entirety of the room and then come all the way back, and it has unveiled a hidden way. All the way up here, after killing all of the enemies.
There's this lever.
Lets us get out of here. Over there. But we don't actually want to get out of here.
Oh.
Because that gas pipe is now on that wasn't on before.
Oh, sneaky.
And there is a hidden, oh god, camera and loading screen. I made it. A hidden Radula around
Why
the
did
corner.
you turn the camera and make the jump harder?
There's no time to waste. There's no time at all.
Kill or be killed.
So this is another combat-oriented one.
Yeah, these ones are quite dull. I kind of preferred the beat the clock ones where it's like you can fight them.
Oh, where you just have to run the clock down.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, I thought the questionnaire ones were the best ones.
They were. I did remember at this point that the flesh maiden dress means you can hysteria at any time.
Oh, you just remembered. Yeah.
So you can just wail on people.
She looks so cool.
And she does look very cool. And the Cheshire Cat's red instead of orange in the Cheshire Cat gun. I think we only saw it for a split second, but it was the red on her blade. Feels a lot more pronounced, but she does also have the bowpole blade again and not the hatchet. So there's no hatchet in the Hysteria costume.
Or a cleaver.
That one. There we go, we did it though.
Come, Alice, don't.
Weird costume.
You've already missed the train. Right, yes, we're at the dollhouse. This is the late but lucky dress, which regenerates our health for us, which is actually quite handy and very cute. We have bunny feet.
Yeah, I really like the bunny feet.
All those undergraduates waiting for a word from Papa. Might I hold the tea cosy, sir? Might I pour, sir? Bunch of toadies.
Ooh, this is another fake out one where we have to pull the lever to open a way forward, and it's like down the corridor, and you run away and go, oh, let's go forward. But it's also just opened this right here.
The undiscovered guilty and the wronged innocent share similar fates. Prisons and chains have many forms.
Ugh.
I got confused by the directions of this one. I didn't mean to go into the room. Because I think the guy that I was following was like, make sure you go around the outside. And it's like, yeah, but you can just jump back out from the boss room. And there's a secret keyhole passage and a memory.
The gulf separating effective treatment from quackery is narrower than professional opinion would admit. Likewise, the distance between knowledge and ignorance.
So now we're in the Hattress dress where we lose teeth instead of roses. It's very cool. I like her arm.
Yes, it effectively turns you into Sonic the Hedgehog.
I suppose.
I love the robot arm.
Right? It's super cool.
Just to make it impossible to cosplay. Well done.
And I think this is our last thing. There was a pig snout hidden in one of the buildings.
Yeah, it's another one where it's in shades, so it's very difficult to see.
Absolutely. And then we get our final basket. And we are done. There we go. And that was all the collectibles. 100% completion. Also, I like her eyes are cogs. I forget if we pointed that out.
I don't think we have, and they actually rotate as well.
Yeah.
The outfits are absolutely amazing.
So here we are in the extra content section now. We have unlocked everything. Yeah, they all have little descriptions in the middle of the screen, so...
Okay, let's start off with characters. View details of characters met during Alice's adventure. Okay. Almanac of People and Creatures.
I've got 74 out of 74. First up, Dr. Angus Bumby. The founder of the Houndsditch Home and Refuge for Wayward Youth is my landlord, employer, and therapist. God, talk about a conflict of interest. A rising star in the philanthropic community, he serves the East End's vast, deprived juvenile population. His mantra is, I'm winning the war against depravity, misery, and degradation by training my unfortunate patients to forget their pasts. While modesty is not among his attributes, he does important work.
Oh, and I can't just skip to the next one. Pris Witless. Before being sacked from Rutledge Asylum, she was a night nurse on my ward. She mistakenly imagines we're friends on that account. Her addiction to gin has forced her to become a dog's body for a variety of East End practitioners. No errand is too menial or beneath her dignity. Her wages can't support her need to be constantly inebriated. Not sure how she supplements her income, but I'd rather not think about it.
Insidious Rune, is this a character? Well, we'll go with it. An unnatural and hostile combination of ruined mechanical parts, vomits pollution, and slashes through the muck it dispenses. A mindless industrial disease, it oozes grease and organic slime, and wields a dangerous weapon. Its unseemly sound and noisome stench, what a great word, noisome stench, completes its menacing aura, and awful head adds to its revolting appearance.
Bolterfly. What pass for fauna in the Hatter's domain resemble winged crossbow bolts. They nest in the now wrecked machinery, of which they're very protective. They become fractious when disturbed, and for dumb creatures, they're annoyingly resourceful.
Madcaps. The erstwhile guardians of the domain appear to be armed with outsized versions of Hatter's household cutlery. Hatter was never particularly discriminating in his guest list, but I never imagined he had giants for tea. Like many long-time retainers, their loyalty has outlasted their usefulness and their sense. Still, this old guard can be dangerous.
Slithering Ruin. Ruined and repulsive, this reckless waste of protoplasm has much in common with maggots and leeches, as it does with slimy garden slugs. Secretive by nature, surprisingly aggressive when cornered.
Aye, Pot. These ornately crafted beasts, once the pride of the Hatter's table, seem destined for scrap. Understandably, they're shirty, unsociable, bloody angry, and dangerous. Because the eye is obviously vulnerable, they fire scalding projectiles afar, but they're not cowards.
Menacing Ruin. A more perilous version of the Insidious Rune, every vile and depraved feature of the former has evolved to become more loathsome, foul, and hazardous in the latter. Who would have imagined it?
It's very like Give Me a Hug, all three of his arms.
Big hugs.
Cheshire Cat. I suppose I could admit that he's my alter ego, perfectly willing to give voice to the doubts and fears I'm unable to express. He's usually not courageous enough to demand a terribly rash risk of me. By turns cynical, sarcastic, distant, philosophical, flip, and earnest, he can render valuable service as long as he can keep himself out of harm's way. I know he means to help me, but he is, after all, a cat, and they're not known for altruism.
known for licking themselves. White Rabbit. To say I'd follow this demanding creature anywhere might be a romantic exaggeration. We have a history, and the list of places he's led me is long and the outcomes have not always been happy. A frantic, harried creature, he's manic and occasionally aggressive.
Describes him almost like an ex-boyfriend.
It's not Bunny.
Duchess. The Queen of Hearts has an exceptionally unattractive cousin. Well, let's say ugly and move on. She once behaved rudely to me, and I had to turn her around, as it were. Now her caring assistance feels threatening. I prefer her old self. Then I knew what I was dealing with.
Mad Hatter. Once, there was always time for tea at the Hatter's place. Wacky they were, all in good fun. Things turned bad when he joined the Queen's service. He received a serious reprimand. Now, his undernourished physique is in parts, and his crafted mechanical obsessions seem hopeless wreckage. Despite his comeuppance, he's still a bit of a blowhard, but not evil, I think.
March Hare, the Hatter's erstwhile tea time companion, has somehow turned the tables on his former host. The Hare is mad, of course, but he's not a lunatic. At least I don't think so, despite his menacing palaver? Palaver. That looks so weird written down. He just seems unnaturally fixated on keeping the Hatter down and making himself a bloody nuisance to me.
The uncommon words are what make reading it out quite fun, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dormouse. Dormy is still sleepy, cynical, and stupid. A martinet to the March Hare, imagine how far down the food chain a creature must fall before securing that august position. I'd say his new role as troublemaker has gone to his head, but that would presume he had a brain. Erstwhile.
Bulbfly. Professor Swan's claims concerning incandescent lighting signal the end of an era for gas lamps and candles, a frightening and insupportable prospect.
Automaton. Automaton. Hardly more interesting than a cuckoo and a clock, let alone a Talos or a Pandora, but then, I'm not Hephaestus. It's automaton, really.
Cat.
Meow.
Yeah. This lovely white female reminds me of Snowdrop, Dinah's rambunctious kitten. Her cat does have a name. I try not to think about her. She'd be an old lady now, if she's alive.
Dark Snail. The degraded Vale was overpopulated with disgusting creatures, so I dismissed this spiky cephalopod. He feeds on his own regurgitated bile.
Dodomech. As if the creature hadn't suffered enough, I imagine the extinct bird kitted out like others in the Hatter's mad and mechanized realm.
Footman. His appearance, formal, and intelligence, modest, were not required for this adventure. He's still a good frog. What?
I'm thinking he wasn't in this game. Mock Sparrow. The Mock Turtle regarded this creature as a threat. He has so little self-confidence, it would have been cruel to bring the bird into the mix.
I wasn't in it either. Snail. This benign being was to keep me company in the Vale of Tears, but the changes there would not have been to his liking. Too much salt.
Dodo. Pigs, humans, and ravenous macaques all contributed to the extinction of the dodo on its native Mauritius?
Macaques? Macaques? Mauritius? Mauritius? Mauritius!
That word. The very strange bird was once considered a myth, but Clark's reports justified Papa's belief that someone or something slated to go the way of the dodo was much more than a rhetorical flourish.
How do you say Mauritius?
Mauritius.
Okay.
Mauritius.
Nan Sharp, always a substantial and independent woman. Nanny taught French and music to Lizzie and me. Disastrous choices in companionship, penury, and an iron-hard sense of pride have led her to a life of not quite squalid prostitution. From her digs at the Mangled Mermaid, she manages a string of professional women on the street. She visited me several times at Rutledge.
Jack Splatter, a bullying, bad-tempered congenital criminal. He's built a heinous career on the labour of desperate women. Once Nan Sharp's procurer and self-appointed protector, he runs his sordid trade out of the mangled mermaid.
Ice Snark. Sightless eyes do not inhibit this vile predator from ruling the tundra. Living flesh is no less at risk than carrion. While his parts seem mismatched, his antenna provides protection, and his teeth are lethally efficient.
Shipwreck shark. Sailors are rightly terrified by sharks. The voracious apex predators are notorious for their unpredictable temperaments and indiscriminate appetites, but only would, if it could, would fear these creatures. Self-made from ruined privateers, clippers, and ships of the line, they consume wood to keep the body and soul together. I wish they'd eat one another. What?
We get it, you're into vor. Mersquid. Expertly crafted figureheads, mute but proud emblems that once graced a great ship's prow, are furious with their sunken fate. Rather than suffer in silence, they wail their own siren songs and bring down other ships with the anchors, chains, and other ballast they've collected.
A cannon crab, well-armed, with great size, impregnable carapace, and a self-declared honourable mission, this noble crustacean is a formidable foe. One may only hope it has a soft underbelly.
Drowned sailor. Poor souls are eternally conflicted. Necessity sent them into the sea. The economy depends on them, but they do not profit. Reluctant to sign on to a 2-year voyage, they are shanghaied. Complain about anything, they are lashed and put on short rations. They are even discouraged from learning how to swim. They trust none but themselves. Their shades do likewise.
Colossal Ruin, an infinitely more powerful and undeniably more disgusting manifestation of the Menacing Ruin. What was formerly foul and detestable is heinous, even monstrous here. The ruin, all in all caps, okay, seems relentless. It just keeps getting worse.
Mock Turtle. The former master of the railroad is kind but self-absorbed. Weepy and fatalistic with a melancholic disposition, he talks too much. He's not clever, but he thinks he might be. He could just summon up the energy to try.
Carpenter. This distinctive, sententious, I don't know that word, master of the malaprop, laxus. This has got too many words. You do this one.
This distinctive, sententious master of the malapro lacks a scintilla of skill in his eponymous trade. Wouldn't know a hammer from a handsaw. Appears to have appointed himself lord of the theatrical universe. Given his subjects, I don't suspect there was much resistance.
Very good. Walrus. If observation is a judge, he's not missed a meal in his life. Pigs at a trough have more dignity. A big, hungry creature with nothing on his mind except his outsized appetite and his self-proclaimed reputation as a great thespian.
I'm laughing at the artwork,
Oh,
not you.
right. Okay, go on.
Fish couple. Do they? Keeping children amused is a priority of indulgent parents the world over. Lucky children. But these two have more on their minds than the family's entertainment. They're at odds in their opinions of the carpenter, his character, his creation, and his role in protecting them from corruption. I suppose I'll have to test their credibility.
Octopus. The carpenter sent me to collect a script from this Glaswegian lush. He's angry about something, but not nasty. Overfond of his own opinion, but a decent sense of play, with some outstanding physical skills, I suspect, if he's ever sober.
Music fish, divas from Covent Garden to La Scala have jitters before a performance. Expressed as vital, unsatisfiable needs, they preemptively excuse things going badly. By such, the talent tries to isolate itself from failure, which is much more often imagined than real. No excuse, however, will deflect the condemnation deserved by this tone-deaf, talentless, time-serving performer.
I'll give you a round of applause.
Oh, thank you.
Iced starlet. Without a script, this pearlless theatrical dance must rely on mangled cliches as a substitute for sensible speech. actors seem to often forget how to speak spontaneously in their own voices.
Mayor. Like many discredited or discarded politicians, the mayor seems sufficiently deluded that he refuses to accept rejection as a sign of rejection. I know that denial is a dangerous thing. I don't always behave as if I know. That is a very interesting artwork. He seems sore.
And Turtle's chest. Sometimes the treasures you seek are just out of reach, evading your grasp as if they have a mind of their own.
Fucking mimics. Yeti, despite grand and self-serving claims to being the embodiment of unrestrained brutality, mystery, and fear, this poor fellow never even rose to the level of abominable.
Aww. Piranha. Papa's copy of Henry Bates's Amazon adventure was dog-eared when I found it. The illustrations were thrilling. A school of ferocious man-eaters. Imagine.
Wilton Radcliffe QC, formerly an Oxford magistrate and my father's solicitor, he is the executor of our family's estate, most of which he claims was consumed by my treatment at Rutledge. An awkward confirmed bachelor, Radcliffe's parents, after Foreign Office postings in Tokyo, Shanghai, perished in the Sepoy Rebellion. He keeps mementos of their lives in the Orient. He's fussy and secretive, but I have little idea what he might be trying to conceal.
Mute. This mute had a sufficiently melancholic face and disposition to suit any funeral, but his profession pointed in me in unproductive directions, and I needed to ignore him.
That should just be pointed me, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
What a strange character, though. Was he in the game?
No, I think some of these, like the mock sparrow and the snail, are concepts that never made it to the game, or if they were in it, they were in passing.
That also does explain why they're just pictures, because I was sort of expecting to be able to sort of zoom in with a stick and rotate them.
Yeah, they're not even modelled.
Samurai Wasp. Ravagers, despoilers and murderers, these self-proclaimed samurai have corrupted the blameless and defensive origami ants' way of life. Should be an apostrophe. It's a cruel lie. They've violated the philosophy of the noble warrior class, Bushido. They're merely expert killers who have expropriated the weapons of their namesake. Sword, shield, and longbow. Unlike true samurai, they protect nothing, are loyal to nothing, and have no honour. No Klingon would they make.
Samurai Ink Wasp. While not terribly clever, strong, or dangerous, there's a seemingly endless supply of soldiers available to support the samurai's mayhem. They remind me of the grubs. They're unpleasantly alike.
Lion Chop. Though nearly immobile, I'd argue that this creature's signature manoeuvre is quite enough to terrify a hardened pyromaniac. He uses a healthy fear of fire as an additional weapon. Are they just the fire-spitting things?
Yeah,
that was it.
is that really an enemy? Daimyo Wasp. We had it in the LP. We refer to that. Though each of the samurai wasps appear to act on their own authority, some fraction of them seem to be of higher rank. More skill with their weapons may give them higher standing in their diseased society. They may give orders to the others. They are, of course, equally reprehensible, perhaps more so.
You've got to get back to the past. Samurai Wasp. Drifting Ruin. Another arrow in this abomination's bulging quiver of mayhem. It moves faster, it's bigger, and it can fly? What's next? Impregnability? Immortality? Who dreamed this up?
Caterpillar. Despite his questionable habits, his uncongenial advice, his stern, prickly manner, and an aura of portentous mystery, this wise creature is my personal, directly communicative Delphic oracle. It's not always easy to guess what he means.
Gosh, say that 10 times fast. Communicative Delphic Origami Ant. They share labour and prize communication. They are socially sophisticated, resourceful, and industrious. But their society's health, its very existence, is dependent on the kindness of strangers. Their soldier class is virtually useless against hostile strangers. The important must make terrible bargains.
Origami Ant Elder. Knowledge gathered from experience is often insufficient to forestall tragic consequences. These elders seem to know what must be done to avert a disaster, but they are unable to do it.
Origami Ant Monk. Few societies properly value their contemplative, artistic, or spiritual members. Action of nearly any description, with nearly any outcome, is disproportionately valued even by them.
Humpty. Well, he did sit on a wall, and he fell off, etc. Fancied himself a kind of authority figure, but acted more like security guard at market stall, and in fact, couldn't secure his belt.
Empress Wasp. She who must be obeyed, and continuously fed, evidently. All these so-called samurai in service and sacrificed so she can dine sumptuously. Royalty shares some common traits, irrespective of species.
Yeah, so he definitely didn't have any of these.
Yeah.
Maybe it was sort of referenced by the sexy lady figure with wasp head.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
But that isn't never an enemy we fought, so I guess they must have had to cut a lot of things. Oriental Frog. Quite possibly the largest frog I've ever seen, although maybe that was because I was shrunk by the caterpillar's smoke. Solving his indigestion nearly gave me an upset stomach as well.
It's hard to tell how exactly big they are. Fred the Cop. Typical Bobby by the book, what's all this then nonsense? Not vicious, not cruel, just not very imaginative or sympathetic. I suppose I don't encourage much.
Card guard. Without weapons, the Queen's reckless guards aren't much more than fodder in a fight. They were never really good with their hands, but this current bout of clawing demands caution. There are so many of them, and they're eager to give up their lives, even dead. Their corpora delecti and remnants can cause a problem.
Corpora delecti? What does that mean? Armoured card guard. The wicked staff they carry makes them dangerous, but ponderous. Still, were their weapon to hit its target, they wouldn't need speed to deliver the coup de grace. The coup de grace.
Coup de grace.
The coup de grace.
Executioner. This arsehole. With less intelligence and imagination than a wind-up toy, this brute does the bidding of the Queen. Her creature, its orders out of date, is certain to fall hard when he falls, but until then, he's so much more than a heartache.
Look at the width of that M dash. White King. Amiable, courageous, a bit befuddled, a bit pedantic, loyal, not especially competent. Reminds me of Papa.
Queen of Hearts. After numerous challenges and defeats, she still shows an ungovernable passion, a blind and aimless fury. She's still a force in Wonderland, even though her desires for unquestioned authority and adherence to her rules have been defeated. She is still power-mad, irrational, and an irresponsible hypocrite, but she's part of me too, and not destructible for cause.
Good save there with adding the missing word.
There's an occasional typo, yeah.
Chess player. Papa's chessmen were nearly friends to a solitary child. Mr. Radcliffe's outsized, angry and servile pieces poisoned that pleasant memory.
Dr. Wilson had a reputation as a capable and innovative physician, but to me, his questions always seemed intrusive, his probing ill-conceived, his practices dubious at best. I don't think he meant me harm. I was a great disappointment to him.
Nurse Cratchit. A feeble-minded, mean-spirited toady, like many of her ilk. Barely suited for emptying bedpans and mopping up vomit. She was no friend to me.
Orderly Tweedles. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
The superintendent's repulsive nephews are cruel by disposition and training. Like all bullies, they're potentially dangerous. Fortunately, they're dumb as rocks.
Doll Girl. The female of the species, so to speak, is equally objectionable. Their depraved maker played no favourites. Her voluminous clothing appears to conceal more than her body would demand.
Bitch babies. To construct a flying, vomiting, killing machine in the guise of four-legged female infant is certainly the proof of a diseased mind, if more proof were needed.
Doll Maker. This heinous criminal assumed the benign title of a decent craftsman to deceive the world and perhaps himself. The lie must be exposed. The truth will out or I will perish.
Insane children. Once the hapless tools of my nemesis, these mistreated, insulted, and long-suffering juveniles have lost sight and all hope of returning to normal. I know them better than I'd like, and not as well as I should.
My 11 to 1. Insane child leader. if the metaphor has it right, that in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed are kings, there's certainly an analogue among the insane children, though whether their king has assumed her role by virtue of being less insane is debatable.
Toy soldiers. It's hardly surprising this fellow couldn't pass muster. He showed himself a timid warrior and unfit for any duty more exacting than watching smoke arise.
Oh my god, there's so many of these! Dorkboy. Not surprisingly, this jerry-built, nailed-together My god, it's like, you know that gif of the dog trying to chew through the bars of the cage to get to his food?
To get to the food and he could just go around.
Yeah, that's what my mouth feels like right now.
Sorry.
Exactly. Not surprisingly, this jerry-built, nailed-together, malevolent automaton masquerading as a child violates every mother's wise admonition. Her injunction, don't play with scissors, would fall on deaf ears, if he had any. He cares nothing for sense. He doesn't have any of that either. I wish I had a hammer.
Dog baby. What? You're just making these up now. This grotesque aberration of nature seemed to have already been incapacitated before I arrived, perhaps turned on and made a mockery of by its fellow abominations. A tragedy that such lovely ears should be wasted on such a pitiful face. Then we're back at the beginning.
Dr. Angus Bumby.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just curious. Because it has them by chapter. Okay. So you can actually see what chapter they were going to be at as well. Because I don't think Humpty was in it, was he? I don't remember him being in it.
No, he was not.
We'll do another gallery. We'll do a gallery.
Troubling Visions, view the concept art gallery.
Gallery. Oh, it's all at a Dutch angle. Chapter 1. So there's 40 of these. Oh, is that as zoomed in as it gets? I'm sorry if you're viewing this on phone.
It's like conveyor belts of dishes. Maybe the Hatter's Domain was going to be much more complicated. It looks like they thought the whole game would be much more complicated.
Lactation. Oh, sorry, I can just go next, can I? Next. Oh, there we go.
And there's sort of the floating buildings in the distance.
Yeah, it's like that's just a huge clock. And it's sort of got more than one clock. And tea and a hat. Very, very hatter. Oh, this looks like a more... Is this sort of showing where you go? Is that what the white dotted line is?
It's almost like a map.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's just a view of one of the long corridors going into one of the sort of satellite buildings that they have.
Reminds me of the first game of it.
Very much so, actually, yeah. And that's the big dais where you sort of Diaz.
I think we picked up the umbrella there.
Cameron Diaz. Anyway. Sort of showing more tea hellscape.
Yeah, it's like you can see Alice jumping from stack of dishes to stack of dishes, but we didn't have that in the game either. Or travelling through pipes of tea.
Yeah, I quite like that. A tea gondolier.
It's much more whimsical in a lot of ways.
Again, just giant teapots and sort of a platform puzzle. Looks like that middle one turns there.
Oh, are we now into chapter 2?
Ooh.
Yes. So, chapter 2, this is the... what was it called?
Well, this one's underwater. Just showing the ship. What are the blue things? Those turtles?
Maybe. Deluded Depths, that's chapter 2.
And
yes,
yes,
it's another map.
I quite like these 2D pop-up maps, actually. They should have used them in the game.
Yeah, that's really cute.
There's that bottlefish. I wonder what that sounds like. Duchess in a bath with the pig child. I don't think the pig child was in it either.
No, I don't think so.
It's not the child who turns into a pig.
It's the ship in the bottle concept.
Yes, is that the one that's being piloted? Is that the right word? By the mock turtle? Alice just being generally dramatic in front of an anglerfish.
A sort of sunken city in the Deluded Depths area, I guess. Sort of a concept for it. It wasn't a fishbowl.
There should have been. That's a really cool idea.
And a lighthouse there.
Oh, there's Alice there at the bottom left for scale. Just showing you some of the underwater wreckage. I think we've changed chapter again. Yes, this is chapter 3.
It should have been the Oriental Grove onwards section, so this is one of those 2D levels.
In fact, you can see her looking at the 2D level, just being projectimulated. I think that's the right word. Oh, another one of those lovely 2D maps showing you the area.
Yeah, going all the way up the giant mountain tree. Just more sort of concept for the feel of the area, because it did have sort of giant teapots and statues and mist and
wasp enemies. Oh yes, that was the area with the, I mean, they're not pictured, but wasn't that the area that had sort of moving game pieces?
Yeah, mahjong pieces.
Oh, I quite like that. Especially the bugs and the sort of children's drawings of the flowers on the trunks there. It's really nice. Change chapter again. Not yet.
This is Caterpillar's cocoon at the very top.
That was weird. It's clearly just Mobius in disguise. I think is that the smoke coming off Caterpillar there? And is that Caterpillar sort of in a big pool of water on a solitary island with a waterfall? It looks cool anyway.
It does. I think that's in the game.
More smoke coming away. I take it you were supposed to follow it.
Suppose. Are we now in Queensland? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
That looks like the Red King, perhaps? Yeah, we are in chapter 4. Like the bandaged up trees.
Yeah. So we have the cards in the sky world.
That was a really cool section, yeah, because it was so refreshing. It was like suddenly we're playing Mirror's Edge all of a sudden.
Another map section.
Very cool was Queensland. Quite like the Sauron-like eye on the tower there. Of course, it didn't used to be Sauron-like until the films went, oh yeah, he's a giant eyeball.
And then we've got concept for giant Alice stomping on things.
Step on me. Is that dickhead? I'm not sure if it is or not, but it's part of the section where you're in the castle.
Yeah.
Oh, I've taken photos of old fences because I think they look amazing. That looks really cool.
It does. Oh, it's a much more different. I think that might be the queen in the very middle. Maybe they thought you might battle her again, but then they decided against it.
Yeah, so she's sort of locked in a heart-shaped cage with spikes.
Tentacles?
Tentacles.
Is this a hysteria costume concept art, maybe?
Yeah, she looks like she's been lobotomized. It's strange artwork. All the stuff coming out of her head.
The concept, like the one where she was giant Alice stomping on the cards as well, she's a lot more sort of waif-like. I think they made her like quite pretty in this game, actually.
Yeah, to an extent. It's Howl's Moving Castle concept.
I think are you in the dollhouse now?
Yeah, the last one was also part of chapter 5.
The dollhouse, then. Got sort of the buildings and the layers and the underneath bit, because you sort of get the impression in the game as well that it's all just built on layers and layers of discarded toys at the bottom.
Yeah, it's really cool. And there's the doll maker himself with his production line of dolls and his weird thin legs.
And the infernal train, which wasn't a very fully realised thing in the end.
Yes, it reminds me of the train from Species that H.R. Geiger did.
Oh.
It's very cool, it's very cathedral-esque.
The insane children, just in more detail. Those looked pretty well realised in the game.
Yeah. It's oh wow, I love those chandeliers up there. Those are really cool. I mean, the book with the monocle and the walking cane is also cool, but the layout and the purple drapes,
Seems much
Flanders scream.
more well realised in the concept art,
Yeah, I quite like that outside the window as well, like sharp trees. That's a really nice piece of artwork.
I do kind of wish the Infernal Train was more of a real level and less a dollhouse at the end of the game, but we got what we got.
Yeah, because they kind of turned it into just a set piece.
Were we supposed to arrive somewhere by any chance after the Infernal Train?
Lots of, is that supposed to be part of the production line? It's very spiderwebby.
It might still just be part of the dollhouse, yeah. We're back to the beginning.
Back to the beginning, which means we're done with this section. 40 out of 40. Troubling visions. Past matters. New Alice's history here. Right, I hope you got that. We'll come back to that. We'll do that at the end, I think.
Okay.
Theatricals first.
Do you view 2D cinematics?
Oh, we might not be doing this, because if this is just the movies from the game, then you can just watch the LP.
And we could have a look. If they are, then yes, that's fine. Yeah, it looks like it.
I had a role in my family's demise, but I did not start the fire. Centaurs don't live in Oxford, but a certain doctor did. I saw him, a preening undergraduate. Now I remember him. That key belongs to Lizzie's room.
And yes, these are just the cinematics from the game, so you've seen them all in the LP.
Should we end on past matters then?
Yeah, we can do.
I'll start. Notes extracted from the casebook of Hieronymus Q. Wilson, M.D., Rutledge Asylum. On November 5th, 1863, Alice Little was severely burned in the fire that destroyed her family home in Oxford and took the lives of her parents and her older sister Lizzie. While the girl's seared skin gradually healed during a year of hospitalisation, the trauma caused by her family's horrific demise deepened. The orphan's condition swung from comatose to uncontrollably hysterical and back again in the course of a given hour. Learned medical opinion deemed her a danger to herself, and an indefinite term of institutional confinement was ordered.
At her preliminary examination at Rutledge on November 11th, 1864, Alice, presented as deaf, dumb and blind stimulation, she seemed, in the brutal expression of the practice, in training for the coffin. Only her age saved her from immediate assignment to the notorious Bedlam catacombs. Despite insensible passivity, preternatural quietness, and evident dementia, a course of treatment was prescribed.
During the first 6 months of 1865, she was subjected to all the best contemporary remedies, without result. Cold plaster sessions and bloodletting were ineffective and unproductive. Applications of experimental shock apparatus, useless. Likewise, massive doses of laudanum. In a desperate toss, restraints, including a straitjacket, solitary confinement, sensory deprivation, confiscation of her toy rabbit, and cancellation of afternoon tea were tried, and failed completely. She would not respond.
She did not resist treatment or in any way react to it. She simply ignored it. She shut down completely, shut out the world. Shortly after the diagnosis of demented was confirmed, she fell into a comatose state. Despite her mental infirmity, she appeared physically fit. Staff remained hopeful, not to say optimistic, that she would regain her balance. Her bodily functions were reasonably attended to, but there were pitiful few signs of recovery. Then, in the autumn of 1873, after 8 years of fitful sleep, Alice spoke by drawing. Her first picture was of an alarming cat.
But only bouts of angry, incomprehensible screaming and hysterical sobbing followed this dubious opening of communication. She became intermittingly convulsive and had to be sedated frequently. From time to time, various medicinal preparations and chemical potions were forcibly administered, to little effect, and she required more than verbal encouragement to eat.
Something that did look like progress occurred in late November of that year. While her inarticulate mutterings and screams continued, she responded, if not appropriately, at least comprehensively, to her surroundings. When grossly insulted by ward orderlies, the superintendent's imbecilic nephews, Alice, without warning, scared off one of the twins with a furious attack. She handled her spoon like a knife and made the other bleed like a stuck pig, but then she turned the makeshift weapon on her own wrists.
Fortunately, staff prevented her from doing terrible physical damage to herself, but she regressed to her previous state. Days of silence, sometimes sketching fantastical scenes and characters, spouting senseless poetry, then incomprehensible raving, catatonic trances, and unintelligible shouts and groans. Suddenly in spring of this year, there was a change. She began to speak.
Civil and then vulgar, declarative and then cryptic speech, in and out of her chaotic, violent, deranged, and terrifying dream world. But the periods of lucidity grew longer. She became confidential. She shared some of her sadness, her grief over loss of family and herself, but most often she droned on and on about fantastical visions. These delusions had no reality, of course, but conversation makes a connection with the world. This was a significant development.
Cogent but often disconnected, and to me meaningless, talk about Wonderland, tea parties, the fungiferous forest, boojums, jack-bombs, snarks, demon dice, and the dastardly Red Queen was nonetheless encouraging. Though her moods ran the gamut from despondent gloom to vicious anger to confident calm, this was a positive prospect. But the emergence of a normal Alice, a cured Alice, was not to be. Throughout the summer and into the autumn, she seemed to vacillate between fantasy and reality.
By October, my own health failing, I recognised I had done everything I was capable of doing for her. After a decade of treatment, having addressed her psychic condition with the full array of our age's therapies, she had emerged from her catatonia, but we didn't know why.
I once thought the drug regimen had been effective. Now I vigorously doubt it. Reunification with her childhood toy? It turns out that rabbit was a stand-in for the original, which disappeared years ago. Something I said? She did nothing at my command, instruction, entreaty, or request. To the extent she was cured, she, I believe, cured herself.
As she appeared more or less stable, though plagued by hallucinations that frustrated more than frightened her, I succumbed to the superintendent's entreaties. As further cure seemed doubtful, further confinement was deemed a waste of everyone's time. Lacking family and friends, but possessed of a small inheritance, she left Rutledge in November, depressed, but committed to the struggle for her sanity. Nurse Witless found her a situation with Dr. Bumby, and Alice was released to his care at the Houndsditch Home and Refuge for Wayward Youth in the East End. I wish them both well.
Alice arrived in the Vale of Tears, where she... Oh no, I'm telling the whole game again.
Yeah. It's nice. It sort of reminds me of, there was a lot of reading and the first Alice.
That was very much a rehash, yeah.
Book bit, yeah.
We read all that as well.
We did. It took a while.
It took so long. It scrolled very slowly.
That was American McGee's Alice Madness Returns.
You see what I did there with the slow scrolling?
Yes.
Very clever.
The extras. We hope you enjoyed it more than we enjoyed playing the end of the game.
Oh God.
And we will see you again next time.
Bye-bye.